A clear mind is not one without thoughts, but one that knows which thoughts deserve attention and which deserve to pass by like clouds in an open sky. And that is the thought for today. Welcome to 7 Good Minutes. I'm Clyde Lee Dennis. Thanks for joining me for what I believe will be 7 of the most enriching minutes of your day. In today's episode of 7 Good Minutes, we talk about developing mental clarity and clearing your mind for better decisions. Enjoy. In a world that never stops buzzing with notifications, demands, and endless streams of information, your mind can feel like a snow globe that's been shaken. Everything swirling, nothing settling, clarity nowhere to be found. But what if I told you that mental clarity isn't something you have to wait for or hope will arrive on its own? What if developing crystal clear thinking was actually a skill you could cultivate, starting today? By the end of this episode, you'll understand what mental clarity really means, why it's become so elusive in our modern world, and most importantly, you'll have practical tools to cut through the mental fog and think with the sharpness and focus you deserve. Mental clarity isn't about having all the answers or never feeling confused. It's about having a mind that's calm enough to see clearly, focused enough to prioritize what matters, and quiet enough to hear your own wisdom. Think of it as the difference between looking through a muddy window and looking through crystal clear glass. The world outside hasn't changed, but your ability to see it clearly has transformed everything. The first enemy of mental clarity is mental clutter. Just as a cluttered desk makes it harder to find what you need, a cluttered mind makes it nearly impossible to think clearly. This clutter comes in many forms: unfinished tasks that loop in your thoughts, decisions you've been avoiding, worries about things beyond your control, and the constant input of information that never gets properly processed. One of the most powerful ways to develop mental clarity is through what I call the mental declutter. This means regularly clearing out the thoughts, worries, and mental tasks that are taking up valuable space in your mind. Start by doing a brain dump. Write down everything that's been circling in your thoughts. Don't organize it, don't solve it, just get it out of your head and onto paper. You'll be amazed at how much lighter and clearer your mind feels when it's not trying to hold on to everything at once. Another crucial element of mental clarity is learning to distinguish between what's urgent and what's important. Your mind craves clarity, but it gets confused when everything feels like a priority. Take a moment each morning to identify the 3 most important things you need to focus on that day. Not the most urgent, not the loudest, but the most important. This simple practice trains your mind to cut through the noise and focus on what truly matters. Mental clarity also requires boundaries with information. We live in an age of information overload, where we consume more data in a day than our ancestors did in months. Your brain wasn't designed to process this constant stream of input. Create intentional spaces of information fasting, times when you step away from news, social media, and even podcasts like this one. Give your mind the space it needs to process, integrate, and find its natural clarity. The practice of single tasking is another powerful tool for developing mental clarity. Multitasking is actually a myth. What we call multitasking is really task switching, and every switch costs your brain energy and focus. When you commit to doing one thing at a time, giving it your full attention, you not only do better work, but you also train your mind to be present and clear. Don't underestimate the power of physical practices in developing mental clarity. Your mind and body are intimately connected. Regular movement, whether it's a walk in nature, yoga, or any form of exercise you enjoy, helps clear mental fog and brings fresh perspective. Deep breathing exercises can instantly shift your mental state from scattered to centered. Sleep is perhaps the most underrated tool for mental clarity. During sleep, your brain literally cleans itself, clearing out the metabolic waste that accumulates during waking hours. When you're sleep deprived, it's like trying to think through a fog. Prioritize your sleep not as a luxury, but as an essential tool for clear thinking. Mental clarity also comes from learning to sit with uncertainty without immediately reaching for distractions. In our discomfort with not knowing, We often fill the space with busyness, entertainment, or worry. But clarity often emerges in the quiet spaces, in the moments when we're comfortable with not having all the answers right away. Practice the art of pausing. Before reacting to a situation, before making a decision, before responding to that email, take a breath. In that pause, clarity has room to emerge. You might realize you don't need to respond at all, or you might see a solution that wasn't visible in the rush of immediate reaction. Remember, developing mental clarity is not about perfection. It's about progress. Some days your mind will feel crystal clear. Other days, it might feel foggy. That's normal and human. The goal is to develop the tools and practices that help you return to clarity more quickly and more often. As you move through your day, notice when your mind feels clear and when it feels cluttered. What conditions support your clarity? What habits or situations cloud your thinking? This awareness itself is the beginning of developing the mental clarity that will serve you in every area of your life. That does it for today's episode of 7 Good Minutes. Please take a moment to rate and review the show on the platform you're listening on. Until next time, let's be civil to one another out there. Thanks for listening.